Welcome to Smart Women Talk. This is your host, Katana Abbott. I'm a midlife millionaire coach and a certified financial planner, and I search the world for smart women and a few good men, including best-selling authors and thought leaders who are on that leading edge. So join us for conversations on money, business, health, and inspiration so you can live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Hi, everyone. This is Katana Abbott, and I want to welcome you to Smart Women Talk. Today, we are going to be speaking with author and leadership and career coach, Debbie Peterson, about getting clarity and going to that next level. So she's going to be sharing with us what to focus on, and get this, it's not everything. Who you can reach out to, who can help you reach your goals faster, and strategies to do it, and what gets in the way and how to fix it. So I know things are coming up in your mind, and I have things I want to ask her too. So let me tell you a little bit about Debbie. She is a returning guest. And this year, when we thought about what our theme is, which is rocking those year-end goals, Debbie came to mind because she is absolutely fantastic at this. So she runs around the world all the time. She's speaking. She's a business coach. She has huge audience, and she helps clients leverage the power of their mind to create and go to that next level in their business and their life. And as a result of her presentations, her audiences and clients have shared that they experience more clarity of direction to stay true to who they are as they're moving forward. She's the host of Getting to Clarity podcast and the author of the book, Clarity: How Smart Professionals Create Career Success on Their Terms. So Debbie, welcome to Smart Women Talk. I'm so thrilled that you're here.
I am so excited to be back. Thank you for having me again. And I love to be able to come and share clarity. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, I'd like to begin. We were talking about how we're getting back out there. I'm doing my first live event in November in 2 years. What was it like for you during the pandemic? Did you have to pivot? Did the live events just quit? Because we were talking earlier and you said you're out there doing all kinds of stuff again.
Yeah, so things are opening back up, and the majority of my business is keynoting and consulting. So it is speaking to organizations who pride themselves in supporting and developing their women leaders and also their emerging leaders. And, when the pandemic hit, the calendar that I had just evaporated. Everything went away. And of course, naively, it was like, well, we're going to give it a couple weeks and see what happens. And then it's, well, we're going to wait until the summer and maybe do something in the fall. And things are just now starting to open back up again, where there are live events. But I'll tell you, the universe provides. First of all, I think I had a big old meltdown in April. It wasn't pretty, but I just needed to acknowledge what it was I was going through and all of the uncertainty in every single area of your life, in addition to the business. But once you experience that and you move through that and you process what you need to process as a result of the meltdown, then it was, I've been doing a lot of virtual, and I'm comfortable doing it. I'm good at doing it. I can engage people while doing it. So I'm going to leverage this and start reaching out. And so doing that really helped me to, I guess it's a pivot. I mean, I was still doing the same thing, but in a different format. And the pandemic allowed me to create some space to do some other things too. I created an online course. I created a mastermind program. I created a mentoring program. I created a community. And if I were traveling like I was traveling prior to the pandemic, none of that would have happened. So, there is a silver lining. There is a bright side. So that's what I experienced. And now that we're on the other side of it, things are opening up, and I'm back to doing what I love most, which is speaking to groups, either keynoting or consulting.
That the stock Zoom, it went way up, and it's just been dropping. It's been dropping because everyone is getting back. And I'm so grateful that we had something like that and we were all able to get comfortable with it. And also, it was a time for all of us to rest a bit too, to get away from the go, 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 it seems.
Yes. And I think in the beginning, we did a really good job of doing that.
Mhm.
I think towards the end of the pandemic, perhaps not so much. And we were right back to doing a lot of things, being on more than we were being off. And it's interesting because, you mentioned Zoom specifically. There were so many businesses that in the pandemic, they were in the right place at the right time. They had positioned themselves, whether they kind of had an idea or had no idea. And now some things are falling off on the other side. Zoom isn't the only one whose stock is tanking, and people are having to think, FedEx is another one that they're experiencing things too. And I think that's kind of a metaphor, these businesses, for what people are going through too. The biggest changes for us is, as a working woman or as a working man, pre-pandemic, it was kind of like you had an idea of what it is that you wanted and what meant something to you. Then all of a sudden you get into the pandemic, forced innovation. You're forced to think about things differently. And it's kind of like, oh, I'm not sure that what I thought was important really is important anymore. And you had that chance to evaluate and make some decisions. And I think we're coming up on another chapter now of the same thing.
Yeah, and all of us got so sick of sitting in front of the computer all the time.
I know.
Oh, it was just terrible. Oh my gosh. But it is so nice to be getting back out and being with people again. And I live on a lake, so all summer, we were out with friends and having a good time. And I know a lot of people didn't have that, especially people living in cities. So I'm thrilled we're here. It's good to hear that your business is taking off and that you're traveling. And there's always going to be this need, though, for helping people get clarity and learn how to focus on what they want. Because let's talk a little bit just about clarity, because that's also my focus, and not specifically like you, but I know how important this is. What happened? Tell us about clarity and maybe some of the issues that come into play when we don't have it.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. Clarity is personal, right? And people are looking outside of themselves to try to answer questions that are already contained within. It is an inside job. And so clarity is about helping you to uncover your answers. It doesn't matter what I say. It matters, if I can ask a question that can cause you to think about something differently, then that's huge. If it can cause you to move towards your answers and really tap into who you are as a person. This is the other thing that came out of the pandemic and related to clarity. So prior to the pandemic, my focus was on my keynote, the roadmap to your career, really figuring out what it is that you want, why you want it, who are the people that can help you, and how do you put that plan together to be able to achieve it while encountering the things that get in your way, But after the pandemic, it just really sunk in, and I've been called to dive into authenticity and really helping people to uncover who they are as a person. Because the thing is that you can't make good decisions, at least decisions that are self-aligning, if you don't know what they're aligning with. If you are chasing everything, if you are trying to be everything to everybody, that's a problem. And when you don't have clarity, then you are expending energy trying to be someone else. You are expending energy living according to someone else's plan or agenda, not your own. When you do have clarity, you know what you want to say yes to because you can feel it. You're able to tap into your answers and understand why. And then conversely, you know what you should say no to. And having that sort of congruency, being tapped into yourself at that level, gives you confidence. And how many people have you and I come across that have a lot of self-doubt, have a lot of limiting beliefs, suffer from imposter syndrome? We all do. It's not either you have it or you don't. They're going to come up for all of us, even you and I, right? What do you do as a result? So, that it's moved me in a direction. I created a new keynote called Lead Yourself First. And it's about the authenticity advantage in business. And it is for anyone, but who it really is for women in leadership. and emerging leaders. And those are the people who I feel could probably use a little more clarity about their way forward. And that's why I was compelled to put it together. And, it's interesting. You and I were chatting before we got on, business is shifting for you, kind of going in different directions, but you were open to it and you're curious about what may be coming. And the same thing is happening for me. It is, the lead yourself first is geared towards self-leadership in the individual. But now what is coming out of it is lead yourself first for business. It is leadership development training. And it really just aligned with my soul, that I know I'm going in the right direction.
So let's say that someone really does some work and they find out what they really, really want, but it's not in alignment with what they feel their options are.
So can you give me a little more information about that?
Okay. Just an example, I remember when I was in corporate working at Ameriprise Financial and, wearing the suit all the time. And that just wasn't me, but I had all the suits. And I used to just dream about someday I want to be able to, lead retreats and really be myself and all that. And I finally, one day I just decided I'm going to do that. I still was professional, but I started expressing myself more. And I was in a very male dominated, and this was, I started in 1987. So you can imagine I first started with that bow tie thing that you wear and the, just horrible button down shirts and all that. But so they find out who they really are and they want to be able to lead and stay in corporate, but how do they get the confidence and how do they, I don't know if it's permission they have to have. I mean, how does that work in corporate? I'd love your opinion on that.
Yeah. And so the circumstance that you describe is, there's what we want to do and what we're being called to do. And then there's, kind of the flip side of it in some circumstances, what we need to do. And the work that I do with women and emerging leaders is really about helping them to define what success means on their terms, but without losing themselves in the process. And there will be sacrifices. It's not like there's never any sacrifice. That's not the case. So, it is the difference between going along with it and this is what I know and this is what I'm good at. I'm earning a good paycheck. I have good benefits and the people I work with are nice, even if it's not fueling you. Well, that's living someone else's agenda. But if it is, all right, I have a vision of what I want to create. I want to do retreats. I want to be able to support these people at a deeper level. I want to be able to take all of my experience and guide them and nurture them and support them. And right now I need to create a little bit of a runway. So this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. But now I know why I'm doing it. So that is less of a sacrifice. You understand the decisions that you're making and there's a reason for them. So can you see the difference between the two examples?
Well, what ended up happening, and we hear so many people left their jobs during the pandemic.
Yeah, and then changed their mind.
Oh, really? I didn't know about
them,
that
yeah.
part. And they wanted to go back. Wow. But I remember this was back in 2007, before the big crash. And here I'm in the financial services industry. But I had gone to something called the Future of Coaching Conference. And I came back and then I started incorporating coaching into my financial planning practice because that was what the coach had told me. I hired someone right at the conference and had my first session in the hotel room, and I came back and did it. But within a very short period of time, I ended up deciding, because I owned my practice, that I took a year off. I saw all the systems I put in place were working, and then I sold my practice and I got to pivot and then go do this other work I'm doing. And it was really scary, but it was the idea of going through a program and having a coach.
Yes.
And getting that support that I could actually do this. How important is that for someone to have that in place?
Well, it depends it depends on the person, first of all. And it depends on how long you want it to take. Because, the thing is humans, we can't see the forest for the trees. We can't ask ourselves the questions and uncover our own answers a lot of times. It requires somebody else to be there to prompt us, to lead us, to give us strategies. And, that's what we do and what fuels us. And I know you, like me, I mean, I've got multiple coaches. So, I've got a business coach. I have a personal professional development coach, more a spiritual coach. I have a health and fitness coach. I just donated 60 pounds back to the universe, and I needed somebody there with me to hold me accountable.
That's what's so different. Yes, you do. You look so young and fit. Yeah. That's fantastic. So, people who are listening, we talked about in the newsletter for Smart Women that we really want to give them tools so that for those who are listening live to the podcast or the show, we're approaching year end. 2022. Yep. And a lot of us have goals that we want to reach by year end, but we may feel overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. What are some suggestions that you can give people who we either watching or listening to help them get clarity about what they want and get them that momentum going, whether it's their career, their money, their health, like you just did? What would be some tools and suggestions that you could give them? Because I would love to have people in momentum so that when January comes, they're not starting over, right. That they're in momentum and they can have a fabulous 2023, but also get what they want this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things that we do as high performing professionals is that we have our little fingers in everything. We are trying to make it all happen. We are trying to have the work-life balance. And I really don't like the word balance. Balance is hard. I don't know if you've ever tried to balance on anything lately, or when you were a little kid and you'd hop on the beach ball and try to keep it under the water in the pool or the lake or wherever you were. And it always came out fast and sideways. Balance is hard. And so it's really about choice. Your goals, your success come by choice, not by chance. And so looking at what is getting in the way, that is where I would start is if you are clear. So first and foremost, you have to be clear on what you want, right? But if you are clear on what you want, and we're approaching year end, so we've got one quarter left, and oh my goodness, how am I going to get this done? What is getting in the way? Make a list of everything that you can think of that is getting in your way. I mean, just empty out. If it pops into your mind, write it down. Just quantity over quality. And then prioritize those into 3 areas. So those things that are getting in the way, that A bucket are the things that are the most annoying and are the most keeping you from what you want. The B bucket are the things that are important, but they're just not like what is getting in your way on the A side. And the C bucket are the things that you came up with, but yeah, they might be getting in the way a little bit, but not very much. What you have to do is you have to take that entire list and spread it equally among all 3 buckets. And, instead of then having a list of these are all the reasons I can't get what I want, you're getting out of overwhelm and you're really getting focused on, okay, what is it really? And then it comes down to choice. Do you have control or influence over the items in the A bucket? And a lot of times you do. I do an exercise with my clients, with my audiences, and I ask them, what is getting in the way of you getting what you want? And they'll tell me things like myself, self-doubt, fear of success, fear of failure, time, other people's problems. Occasionally I hear spouses, and I just take it all in. And then we go through and say, okay, self-doubt. Do you have control or influence over your own self-doubt? Well, yeah. Okay. Then are you choosing to put energy into that instead of putting that energy into your goal? We make choices about where it is we put our time and talents and resources and everything else. So if you're getting hung up on those limiting beliefs and that self-doubt, then you have the ability to do something there. so that you can put your energy where it belongs. And, once you look at things that way, it tends to get you out of overwhelm. And I know you mentioned overwhelm.
Yeah.
If you've got a list a mile long of things that you want to get done before the end of the year, do the same thing. Empty out. Bucket A, you want the most. Bucket B is important. Bucket C is, all right, I'll put a pin in it for now. And then divide the list equally and then prioritize within the bucket.
So
and that just
tell me what you mean about divide the list equally, because I would think that I would want to only focus on A. I would want to, like you said, put the pin or eliminate, like figure out what I want to eliminate or put the pin in. But why wouldn't we just focus on A?
Well, ultimately, you will. But when you've got a list of a lot of things that you want to get accomplished and you're in that space of overwhelm, you need to choose what is going to go in the A bucket, what is going to go in the B bucket, and something is going to have to go in the C bucket. When you are forced to divide that list equally among all three buckets, it forces you to choose.
Okay. It's on that C, you might be delegating, eliminating, and all that.
Right.
But
do it, delete it, or delegate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, we put everything in the A bucket and we expect to get it all done now. And then we're overwhelmed again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about choice and just, rethinking what it is that you put on your plate and for what reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how important is it to have really clear goals and actually focus on those all the time? And do you have some tips for how people can get clarity about what they really want, let's say by year end, so that they don't get overwhelmed?
Right. So the exercise that I just took you through,
yes,
will help you to say, okay, this is what is going to move the needle the most in my business, or it's going to give me the most joy or satisfaction, whatever your criteria is for measurement, whatever ends up in that A bucket, and then you prioritize it 1 through whatever ends up being that A1 item, that is your focus for the end of the year. And what happens is there's something I use with clients called the power of 3. And that is a commitment that you make to yourself that each day you will do 3 things towards that A1 goal. And, I know people are thinking, oh my goodness, I don't have any room in my day. Debbie, you're smoking something if you think that I can do something else. Well, it's 3 tiny things. If you've got a day that is back-to-back meetings with clients or customers or vendors or whatever the case may be, you might not have a whole lot of room, but what are 3 tiny things that you can do? Maybe it is ordering a book off of Amazon that you can read during the weekend. Maybe it is sending a text to someone that you want to connect with. Maybe it is capturing a website, a URL for a website that you want to go visit later. I mean, 3 itty bitty things can make an impact because it is not broad sweeping change that necessarily leads us towards our goals. It is whatever we will do consistently. And so the next morning, then the power of 3, what are the 3 things I'm committed to doing? And you already know what your calendar is going to be. You already know if you've got a little more time or maybe not as much time, that you can pick 3 things that will fit into those slots and making that commitment to yourself.
So what do you suggest for managing a calendar? Because I have a whole system that I've used. So I feel like I have to plan my week in a specific way. I only see clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know with some people, maybe they don't have control over their calendar, but then I'm in momentum on those days. And that's what, if you go to book schedule an appointment with me, and I give myself Wednesday as a writing day, for example, for all the writing projects, and Monday and Friday are what I call prep days, cleaning up and getting organized in that. And that really, really helps. What do you suggest for helping people take control of their calendar, especially if other people are controlling it too?
Yeah. Well, there's some boundaries there. If other people are controlling your calendar, to not tempted to be, to say yes when you really want to say no. If somebody is asking for your time and you're going to miss your son or daughter's soccer game or something like that, and that's a commitment that you made to yourself, then I can't make it at that time. However, I can come in early tomorrow. So you're not saying no, you're just saying not right now. Here are some other options. So boundaries come into play when it comes to calendars. But the short answer to your question is whatever will work for you. I am not a digital person. I'm a hybrid person. And I found this out about myself. I have my Outlook calendar and it syncs with my phone. And certainly I will, you get meeting invites, and I've got my Acuity calendar so clients can schedule with me. And that goes into my online calendar. And at the beginning of every week, I go through and I plan it with a planner. So for me, this is what I need. Just writing it down, knowing where I have space, knowing what I need to focus on. This is a planner that I haven't found anything better that has worked for me. I've used it probably for 8 years. And it just gives me all of the sectors that I need to focus on. And so for me, getting a cup of coffee and mapping that out is important, because that is what I'm looking at.
And I think that having that planner is such a great place where you can have your goals. I do a morning affirmation, and I'll, do a little bit of journaling from it. And sometimes I'll do some drawings, and it really helps to have that time to do the planning. And it helps you get clear and also stay motivated. So what are some of the other tools that you're suggesting people use, not only to set their goals, but get themselves, into action? So,
So the power of 3 is definitely one. And I know that SMART goals, there are proponents and detractors of SMART goals. The reason I like them is by virtue of going through the process with a pen and a piece of paper, it causes you to think about what it is that you are going to want to achieve. It causes you to map it out, and then you know where you're going to start. So for instance, S is specific, and just really dialing in on that goal so that if you told someone else, they would know what it is that you're after. But then the M, measurable. Do you have a way to measure that, yes, things are going in the direction that you want them to, or no, you're getting feedback and you need to figure out another way. I changed the acronym a little bit. A is actionable. A is actionable because what happens is people create a goal and it stays in their head. And that means it's vague and ambiguous, and you're always trying to remember, and you're always trying to fix, Rubik's Cube it and figure it out. Actionable means that you break it down, that you get to the point where you have steps or action items. And I have a tool that I use with my clients that I'll share with your audience as well. Think about an org chart, an organizational chart. So at the very top of the org chart is the president, CEO, right? In that spot is your A1 goal, what it is that you are committed to making some momentum on for the rest of the year. So that's what you're focused on. So that goes in the president spot. So give me an example of one of a possible goal, and I'll break it down for you.
Okay. Well, let's say that I want to launch a seminar, a live seminar that I've never done before, right? And because that's a project I'm working on right now, and all these things are going through my head because that is not my skill set, is to be the person to plan all the details. So at the top, kind of a thing. I was just getting excited, and I said, I can't wait till you share it because it sounds like it would be perfect for that.
Yeah, let's drill down on this and get you some clarity. So in the president spot is the live seminar, you said?
Yeah, it's a live seminar.
Okay, so that's the A1 goal. So then you go down to the SVP. So that's the next layer in the organizational chart. You got the senior vice presidents or the executive vice presidents. So in order for you to bring that live seminar to fruition, what are some of the high level activities or categories that you need to focus on? It could be one of them is curriculum, right? Another one could be outreach or prospecting. Another one could be logistics, right? So at a high level, those are the categories that you need to focus on that roll up to you having a successful live event. And I don't know if there are any others, but what happens then, so we're at the SVP level, then we go down another level to management, right? So under curriculum, thinking about the different topics or exercises that, maybe one topic or one slot is topics, maybe another slot is stories, maybe another slot is examples, maybe another slot is workbook.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, we're chunking down and getting more specific about, okay, this is what it's going to take, but it all rolls up to that A1 position. So then let's go down to the employee level, right? So under topics, brainstorming the topics that you want to outline, brainstorming the stories that you need to flesh out, brainstorming the exercises that you want to do within that seminar so that people are getting that outcome. And then as far as the workbook or the logistics, then it could be that you've got to reach out to printers. It could be that you've got to figure out it's too many pages and you want to skinny it down. It could be that you want to have it online and not. So it's drilling down until you have tasks. And the thing is, when you sit and you think of what the A1 goal is for the rest of your year, and you go through this organizational chart process and you just keep drilling down, then you've got a roadmap of how you're going to get there. You can just start checking boxes. You know what you're doing every single day to move the needle on that. You can pick your power of 3 from there. You can plug different things into room on your calendar. If you have a morning that starts at 11 o'clock instead of at 9 o'clock, well, you got a little time. Then you can take something off of that roadmap and plug it in.
Right. Oh, this
Then
is
you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, what you're sharing is very exciting because you do make it, I think the secret is breaking things down. You've said it a couple of times, breaking the big project down, and I love the idea of putting out that organizational chart in sections. I mean, the seminar, I'm getting licensed for it. They're actually going to provide me the seminar, but I'm going to personalize it and put those stories in and examples, right?
And make it yours.
Pardon?
And make it yours.
Yeah. And then you talked about the venue, and I need to go walk over there because they have one room that holds up to 25 and one up to 70. And what if I end up with a big group and, find out what the options are.
Yeah.
But if we're trying to do the whole thing at once, it can be very overwhelming, but I love this idea of your workbook. So how can people get this workbook? Because you said you were going to share.
Oh yeah, you bet. And then just the other two pieces of
Yes.
the SMART goal is it realistic with a stretch and timed. When are you going to get this done by? And that communicates with your mind as to, okay, this is what we need to get moving on. At an unconscious level, your conscious mind is the goal setter, your unconscious mind is the goal getter. So in order to let it do its job. So and thank you for asking that.
You asked about the realistic, and the first time I booked it, it was like next month. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to make it in November.
Yeah, realistic, but with a stretch. So you're giving yourself, especially trying to get things filled in your calendar and kind of like, okay, well, maybe I'll give myself a little room. Smart.
Yeah. So these are just great. So I love the way, and I haven't heard it done with the stretch before.
Oh yeah. A lot of times we tend to play it safe.
Yeah.
And so with a stretch, if you've done something like it, then take it up a notch, because we are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for.
Because again, we go into that fear and those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And for anybody who would like to get a little more clarity about their way forward in their career, I have a resource I am happy to share. You can go to clarityworkbook.com. And I encourage you to take a few days to go through the questions and just really allow them to sink in and allow those answers that are inside of you to start percolating up. Because it's not, the coach can help you ask the questions, but the answers are inside of you.
You mentioned that earlier. That is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true every single time.
Yeah.
And a good coach knows how to help you figure out what's inside.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Debbie, it's been so wonderful having you here.
Oh, Katana, thanks for having me back. I'm just delighted to be here.
And I love the fact that you were able to take us all through a real life example. A lot of fun.
Actionable. It's got to be actionable.
Actionable. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Wonderful. So thanks for coming back on Smart Women, and it's clarityworkbook.com.
That's it.
And your main website, because I know you do speaking, if someone's listening and they want to hire you.
Yes, it is DebbiePetersonSpeaks.com.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful. So everyone, we want to thank you for coming to Smart Women Talk and joining us today. If you'd like to get on our list, it's joinsmartwomen.com, and then you'll know who our guests are, and you'll also know how to reach them and what's coming up. And we always have great articles. So it's joinsmartwomen.com. We also have a free online school that you can join. If you love the show, be sure to subscribe and like it and share it with your friends. And until next time we meet, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Smart Women Talk is brought to you by Smart Women's Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit project of United Charitable. Music by Bill Lucas from his album When It Rains. Available on Apple Music and Spotify. Catch us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and be sure to join our free community at joinsmartwomen.com to access all our free Smart Women resources.